Today we're going to look at the artwork of Rebecca Chapron, a Vancouver artist who makes narrative paintings and has a surreal vision of nature. She has these awesome gem-like and crystal-like paintings that have all different facets, and the colors are really vibrant. Today we're going to create our own crystals and gems. You're going to need paper, pencil, you can use a ruler, and then markers, crayons, colored pencils, or paints, whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to use markers and blend the colors with a little bit of water in a paintbrush. All right, to get started, I have these handouts either on the choice board or right here where you can pause the video. You can follow along, you can freehand them or use a ruler. These are from a fellow art teacher who created these really cool and easy steps to create gems. Now, we're going to use different colors that will blend together. Think warm and cool colors next to each other on the color wheel. All of those colors are going to blend more easy. I'm going to use a marker to blend my colors with some water. It creates a really cool watercolor effect. If you don't have watercolors at home, you can use watercolors or any other blendable art material like color pencils or brush markers or crayons. All right, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to use the first handout to draw a few different crystals and gems. The thing about crystals and gems is that they have a lot of different facets, which means different like planes and edges where the light shines off of them. So we want to try to recreate those. And so I created kind of this diamond shape with or crystal shape with a long edge, and then I'm going to do this zigzag in between right here to connecting the points together. This way I can add my facets or my different angles of my gem. So that's where the light's going to bounce off. I'm using a pencil first, and then I'm going to outline it with a Sharpie so that I can use my markers in water and the Sharpie won't run. You can use, it also looks really cool when you use a white crayon. That white crayon is going to create that resist from our watercolor or our markers if you want to use the markers as a watercolor. So I'm going to create another gem that's on the same page, just making sure that I'm using sharp edges to create that crystal, and then adding some angles, like 90-degree angles, to create the facets. So I want it to look like there are a lot of edges and a lot of surface that the light can bounce off of. I'm creating my own. There's not really a wrong way to do this. You just want to think of straight lines and angles more than curved lines when you're doing these gems. I'll show you one set of gems that you'll use a circular design or oval design at the top next. So I'm going to create these, and then I'm going to outline them with Sharpie. And then I'll show you how to use the marker. Okay, now I'm going to add some color. I'm going to think of colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, maybe warm and cool colors, colors that will mix well. So I'm just going to take my washable markers. Since my Sharpie is permanent, it's not going to move when I add water to it. But when I add water to the washable markers, it's going to move them like a watercolor around. So I'm going to outline my edges. So my edges are really dark with color and saturated with color. And then I'm going to move that color inward with my paintbrush. You can use a Q-tip here or any other kind of paintbrush, or maybe even your finger with a little water on it, but your finger will get dirty then. So try using a paintbrush or a Q-tip. I'm going to outline those lines and bring in that color. You can even remove color if you add too much water by dabbing it with a paper towel. You don't need a lot of water on your brush. If you add too much water, it's going to blend those colors a lot, and it's just, you're not going to get the variation of color like a dark on the outside to light inside. So be careful how much water you use. You can see I'm dabbing off a lot of water on my paper towel before I go in to move that marker around. So it's just like watercolor basically. It creates a really cool effect. It's a great way to pretend like you have paints and blend things when you just have markers, right? So if you think about our blendable markers at school, they have that clear marker, which is essentially just water blending the markers together. Okay, so I'm going to finish up these, and then I'm going to show you how to just use one color on the next one. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a crystal cluster now with the flat tops. I'm going to create these organic oval-like shapes with ridges so that I have places to bring down those lines to create facets like we did on our crystals and gems in the last one. So you'll see this is also on one of the papers, the handouts that you can look at. And I'm going to create different tiers here. So I'm going to create one large one in the back, two middle-sized ones, and then kind of a foursome in the front. So you can see I have that, and I'm going to bring down the lines all to kind of one angle, just like that, diagonal them. And as I get closer to the center, those will be the straight ones. And I'm just kind of overlapping my lines or stopping where I think things would overlap to create that visual space. So I'm bringing down the edges right now, first to the very edge, and then I'm going to create those facets. So I have that, and now I'm going to bring down the lines. I'm going to start in the back, and just wherever there's ridges that go back, in, or out, I'm just going to create as many as I feel will give us that feeling of rocks or facets like on a gem. Making sure I'm stopping if anything overlaps. So this is pretty easy, just vertical lines down my crystals. Erasing where any of them that are supposed to be behind go over, anything like that. Now I want to make my gems two-tone this time, which means I'm going to add 2 colors. So it will do that. I'm going to use the same technique with the marker and the paintbrush, but just kind of blend the colors really nice together. Here I'm going to add kind of the soil they're stuck in. So I'm just kind of making some lines that kind of look like dirt or rock, so they're kind of jagged. I'm going to add 1 more crystal that's kind of popping up from the bottom that looks like maybe it's just starting to grow. There it is. And then you can add different layers. Like I thought this needed another little area or jagged rock moment. So now I'm going to outline these and color them in. And that's the end. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to draw crystals and gems. See you next time.